It is perhaps impossible to conjure up visions of the shores of the Red Sea as they were in those mythical times over 1,000 years ago at the dawning of Islam. Or even more recently, when the Sinai shore was frequented by nomads from many different tribes, by predators lying in wait for slaves shipped out of Africa, and by merchants expecting boats laden with merchandise in arrival from the opposite shore. In those days, the only fires that burned here were to be found in nighttime bivouacs. Time, which once seemed to be at a standstill here, has now suddenly moved on. Today, the past in all its glory has been erased, forgotten forever. Now, on the shores and in the Red Sea's coastal waters, fires still burn, not campfires, but flares burning off gas atop hundreds of oil rigs. Important reserves of black gold lie beneath the seabed and deep below coastal areas and nearby islands. The nomads' horses and merchant sailboats have long since disappeared from the Red Sea. These days, transportation from one point to the next, one rig to another, is by helicopter. And we go with the times as we prepare for another underwater adventure on board the Bilitis. We are planning to visit areas on the seabed strewn with wrecks of all sizes, where we hope to record touching, rarely seen moments of underwater desolation. Why here? Because the bottom of the Red Sea slopes up to meet coral reefs that lie just below the surface. Insidious hazards for coastal shipping, which is growing all the time as the search for oil becomes more intense. And in proportion, the number of shipwrecks is also on the increase. In fact, in the past few years, there have been more in the Red Sea than in any other. It is the lure of these wrecks that has brought us back to the Red Sea to continue our adventure on the Bilitis. Our underwater team has worked together for many years, locating and exploring wrecks in waters all over the world. Crumbling remains, in this case in the Caribbean, of Spanish galleons. Photographing these wooden skeletons, some were once proud ships flying royal flags, others humble fishing boats, gave us a strong impression of death and desolation. We had the same impression when we explored the wreck of a turn-of-the-century passenger liner. The decorative glazing and other fittings of first-class staterooms were still visible. presence of a laughing mermaid, another survivor of the sumptuous interior decoration, was not enough to allay the sense of anguish that pervades the remains of a dead ship. Only in the Red Sea is it possible to see how ships that sink in tropical waters become festooned, a source of new life. The Bilitis delivers us to an area where, during an air search, we located a large selection of wrecks lying between the reefs. Here, off the coast of Ras Banas, lies the wreck of one of the many small craft that serve the offshore oil platforms. This is the bow. When the boat was still in service, the hull was probably dirty gray, streaked with oil. Once drab and sad-looking, it has now acquired an almost festive appearance. A garden of alcyonarians and gorgonians, or sea fans, hairy sea worms and sea squirts, clings to the inert steel hull, turning it into a haven teeming with life. We scatter ever-present schools of damselfish to take a closer look at a solitary cobra fish, known scientifically as the Bilitis volitans. And there it is, the cobra fish. With the help of our skipper, we pursue our search for more examples of this unusual species by moving on to a new location, where an oil tanker tugboat has sunk quite recently. Diving into these waters to reach the wreck requires great care and attention. But the subsequent encounter with the Bilitis volitans was more than worth the risk. To our surprise, we discover that the usually solitary cobra fish lives in a colony here. It has chosen the tug's hold as its habitat and defends it tenaciously against all intruders. Suddenly, we find ourselves face to face with an army of medieval warriors, brandishing a formidable array of swords and lances in the form of highly poisonous quills. 3 scratches from adult cobra fish like these are enough to kill a man. We decide to effect an orderly retreat without even trying to explore inside the wreck. The film of our tense encounter more than repaid our underwater trespassing. Another ghostly presence on the seafloor. This tender used to carry asphalt and petroleum derivatives of all kinds. Essential products for the world's consumer societies, in spite of the filthy grime they generate. But down here, in this pristine environment, there is no trace of dirt. The hulk has become another underwater garden. The wreck is now a container for marine flora and fauna. Its steel hull acts as a kind of seabed hothouse that might have been created specifically for the protection and proliferation of a myriad of underwater life forms. The Bilitis sails on. Our new destination is another offshore wreck that promises to be highly interesting, especially from the photography point of view. It lies 24 hours away from Suez by sea, and we discover we need someone to show us the way. We arrive off the coast of Umirab to find that a dangerous maze of sandbanks and coral reefs lies between us and the wreck. More than ever, we are reminded that it is impossible to sail these waters in safety without a local pilot. Our exploratory flight by helicopter over this area had already given us an idea of how dangerous these waters are. There are so many wrecks scattered on the seabed here that this stretch of the Red Sea is known as the Shipwreck Sea. The situation is saved by a chance encounter with a sambuk manned by Dankali fishermen. We quickly come to an agreement sealed by a gift of supplies and water. The sambuk changes course to act as our pilot. Hoisting their sail, the fishermen lead us safely through treacherous coastal waters towards the location of the great hulk we are interested in. We sight a shipwreck, but it's not the one we're looking for. A short distance further on, the fishermen lower their sail to signal that we have reached our destination. Our first dive is an exciting moment. The echo scanner has revealed the presence of a mass of metal some 50 meters below the surface. We come across a thick forest of giant gorgonians as we make our descent. soon as the wreck is sighted, the team prepares to go to work. 2 divers stay with the still photographer, and 2 escort the movie cameraman. "52 meters below the surface, we hit bottom and pose for souvenir shots of this first stage of our expedition. Lying upside down on the seabed, the hull looks enormous. A speckled grouper and a thorny coral outcrop greet us as we venture into what looks like a natural marine environment. But the coral ridge is actually growing on the wreck's steel plating. The keel is still visible and seems incredibly long. We follow it, looking for a way into the wreck. We find a rent in the side, but it seems to be guarded by a cobra fish. The fish darts away, trying to find refuge in the twisted plating, and leads us to the bow. Once, it cut proudly through the waves. Now it lies motionless on the seabed like a submerged reef, covered in sponges and madrepore. This giant rent in the steel-plated hull is where the ship hit the semi-submerged reef that caused it to founder in the heart of the night. Water poured in through this gash, and crew, passengers, and cargo went down with the ship. Nothing and nobody was saved. We know everything there is to know about this ill-fated ship. The Carnatis, as she was called, dead weight 25,000 tons, had sailed from India destined for England. Heading north along the Red Sea, she was to have been one of the first ships to use the recently opened Suez Canal, but she never got that far. Cobra fish seem to have elected themselves our inseparable companions. We light them, film them, and photograph them, while with extreme caution, the team prepares to venture inside the Carnatis. We split up. 2 of us move to the stern, where we set about photographing the screw and rudder. The screw is particularly interesting. The Carnatis was the first steam-powered, steel-hulled ship to sail the England-India route. There are no overall photographs of her in existence, although her original design plans are conserved in the Admiralty building of the British Navy. The plans are often the object of study. When she was built, the Carnatis was ultra-modern, a product of turn-of-the-century advanced technology. Her engines were revolutionary for the time. The dark mass that can be seen on the right of the frame is the giant boiler that allowed the Carnatis to develop a cruising speed of about 9 miles an hour. The remains of the gearing that controlled the rudder, one of the first hydraulic systems. This wheel multiplied the force and speed used to turn the helm. The helmsman is seen at his post in this contemporary photograph that also documents the installation of an onboard telephone system and the luxury of the first-class staterooms. We enter the hull through the large windows on the veranda in an attempt to reach deeper inside the Carnatis, to the engine room. Here is another interesting aspect of the ship's construction. The system used to rivet steel plates around the main engine. The engine itself was mounted here, in the heart of the sunken ship. Very little remains. Once again, our lights pick out something that has to do with life rather than with death. These eggs have been laid by a female fish who is obviously very much concerned for the survival of her species. The place she has chosen is well protected, with a slight current that brings in a steady supply of plankton. There are also shark's eggs on branches suspended in the depths. The presence of such eggs in this murky, maze-like environment must mean that there are sharks lurking out there in the darkness. Suddenly, a shark appears in the beam of our spotlights. Obviously, it had been hiding deep in the bowels of the wreck. More frightened than us, it darts away, eager to leave the hull. The moment has come for us to leave too. The air is running low in our tanks, and there is no time to make our way back to the hole in the bow. The alternative exit route is much more difficult. In fact, the last member of the team risks being trapped inside for a moment we fear for his life. The speckled grouper that greeted us on our arrival has waited to bid us goodbye. We make our way back to the surface in the easy stages required for decompression. On the last day of our cruise in the Red Sea, we anchor in a sheltered bay off Shadwin. To our surprise, we notice that beneath the Bilitis, there seems to be a convention of jellyfish. The reason for such a conspicuous gathering is soon forthcoming. The jellyfish have sought out the shade to protect their newborn young from the sun. Baby jellyfish, the young of giant medusas. Bunches of newborn creatures that within a few minutes are self-sufficient. miracle of life offers us, in our role as observers, an exciting, almost magical moment. Especially because the creatures concerned belong to the lower end of the evolutionary scale. An unexpected finale to our latest Red Sea experience. This is probably the first time the phenomenon has been observed in open waters. It has certainly never been filmed before. Additional evidence that in this sea, life continues to triumph over death. Biological rhythm unaffected by outside influence. Time, place, and procedure are established strictly by nature's laws of reproduction. Life has always been and will always be that way.